Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and viewers, sisters and viewers of IQRA TV. Welcome back. Today we're talking about a very difficult subject, and that is the subject of cancer. Today I have two very eminent guests who work in the environment where they provide all sorts of support, emotional, physical, practical support to people and family, and not only the people who suffer from cancer, but their families as well. And cancer is something that is growing and spreading. We've, every one of us, I'm sure, will know of or have been through friends, family who have suffered from cancer. It doesn't discriminate against anybody, whether you're a young child or an adult, whether you're white, whether you're black, you're a person of faith or non-faith, or a Muslim or Christian, whoever you may be. Nobody seems to be immune from this particular disease. And as I said at the beginning of the program, 30, 40 years ago, it was something that was very rare that we heard of the term cancer being applied to virtually every day. And we hear of people who suffer from this illness. It is an illness that if it's caught early, by the grace of Allah, most people can survive. But occasionally, even that doesn't happen. We lose people after a very short period of time. So this has a huge impact on not just only the individual who's suffering from this disease, but also the wider family structure and network. And support at that time is absolutely vital. MashaAllah, by the grace of Allah and by our faith, we in the Asian community, we have by the structure that we have within the community, a very strong bond around families itself. So we look after our own people in the majority of cases, but there are families out there who don't have that support structure. Whether you have that support structure or not, it is a very difficult time to navigate through. And therefore, organizations like Cancer Support Yorkshire, I'm not sure whether you can see this, who are based in Bradford. They've got, as Rafiq Seg02 said, they've got 3 centres, one in Skipton and one on Ossett near Dewsbury, provide a vital link and support structure for people not just who suffer from cancer, but their family networks as well. So I have Shahida Noor here, who is the sort of care planner, and Rafiq Seg02. We spoke about the illness and how you provide support, etc. I mean, obviously you come in at the stage where medical treatments come to an end, and people are still living by the grace of Allah, and are still coping with whatever illness they have. In terms of the wider family structure within our community, how do you feel? Do you feel that they understand, or are they still in denial? This is not happening, they're going to be fine, or why us? How make you?
I think they have, because it's been like quite a while since they've been diagnosed with the cancer. So I think they do come to terms with that. Yeah, it's happening, it's for real, and let's really just do something about it. And that's when I think they can support the patient as well, right, the cancer sufferer. So as long as the family and friends have come to terms with that, that's where the support can come in for the.
And do you find sometimes it's very difficult for families to accept and come to terms with it, and that in itself is a very difficult step to navigate through, because somebody suffers from cancer, we all hope they're going to make a recovery, and if they get the bad news, this is terminal, there's a period of denial. It can't be happening. It can't be happening to my loved one. It can't be happening to my mum, my father, my son, my daughter, my uncle.
Yeah.
Is there a time gap there? And how do you help them navigate through that process?
Talking from a personal perspective is that when my mum was diagnosed with cancer, it was very difficult, me as a daughter, to take that on board. But I think I just broke down as the consultant gave the news. I just broke down. But then I thought, yeah, well, if I'm breaking down, then how can I support my mum? So I just brought myself together, picked myself up, and thought, no, I've got to be there for my mum. Right. So again, like I said, if you've got to be strong, the family, the carers, they've got to be strong for the cancer patient, so they can support them.
So this is before you started working with this charitable organisation?
Before I was starting here, right. Before I started.
What was the most difficult aspect? I mean, how did your mum react to the news when she was told what was happening to her? I mean, you talk about how difficult it was for you and traumatic it was. What about the rest of the family?
My mum, because obviously she couldn't understand English, so the consultant, he was like talking in English, and when as soon as he gave me that news, I just broke down. And she was looking at me and she goes, "What's wrong, Kya? You know, what's happened?" And then when I told her, then again, I couldn't, obviously I controlled myself, and then I told her. With the family as well, I think we just really stuck by it and supported each other so we could support Mum as well. And I think that was the big thing about that, really, you know, is that we supported her. And
how important does faith play in the accepting Ya Allah ki marzi?
Yeah,
you know, whatever happens to us is all God has written. Allah is already determined for us.
Of course.
And do you think the people who have strong faith can cope with it better than those who have little faith?
A lot of people who say like Allah ki marzi, then they will give up on treatment as well, that Allah ne jo whatever He's wrote for us, then we'll go ahead with that. So they don't even like to go ahead with the treatment.
Don't they?
But there's quite a few that I know of have done that, not in the centre but personal. But otherwise I think if you leave it up to Allah and then continue with the treatment, because Allah's provided the treatment as well, hasn't it? It's come from Him. So then go ahead with the treatment and then see what happens.
I mean, the Prophet ﷺ said, you must have treatment.
Of course.
They didn't deny, we're not like Jehovah's Witnesses where we say we're not going to accept any treatment whatsoever. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged people to get treatment. So anybody who thinks that it's Allah's mercy and therefore the inevitable is going to happen without having to take some treatment, they're misguided in my view. And this is where I think ex-president of the Council of Mosque, where do you think faith leaders can come in? I mean, in the Christian community, somebody suffers, the priests, the padris, the reverends go out into their homes and provide, pastoral care. Are we not, in that frame here so far?
So far, in all honesty, we haven't had a structure in place to help people through bereavement and people through this sort of illness in the past. But I do really think it's important that these subjects are talked about in the mosques. The imams are fully aware of the issues and also talked about, because a mosque is a community hub. That's where we get together, and it's in the religious circles that our Prophet, peace be upon them, they used to discuss all issues relating the communities and their issues, whatever it may be, in the masjid, in the mosque. So I think it's very important and crucial that we start doing that, and I'll certainly play my role within that, and I have sort of started working with the mosques. And what we will be doing is, because the churches have got a good structure in place. I mean, they've been there over years and they've got a structure in place where we haven't, and I think it's time that we
we have a structure. We have a mosque.
We have a structure, yes.
So we have a structure of sort.
I meant the supporting mechanism. That's the structure I'm talking about, the supporting mechanism of people that go through this sort of illness and go through that.
Do you think the imams need to be given some sort of a training to how to deal with this? I mean, do you think, for example, the clients you have, would they welcome an imam coming into their home and talking to them, counseling them, providing them with pastoral care? Do you think that would benefit them if they did that?
I don't know about the homes. Again, that's all personal. Maybe into the centre where we have the support groups. If someone can come over there and just talk about it and have that support there.
Because in the Christian community, the reverends go into the homes and say, how are you? How are you feeling?
Of course.
And help them with through the connecting with God more quickly, or strengthening their relationship with God. Do you think, in our community, the imams can play that role?
I think in the homes, I'm not too sure, but again, I agree with Shahida. I think if we were to come into the centres, I mean, in our centre, let me tell you that the balance of non-Muslims and Muslims will probably be on average on something on a similar level. But people walking through the doors, our majority are non-Muslims, because of the fact of this taboo subject of seeing somebody walking into Cancer Sport Yorkshire thinking, hang on, if I'm walking through there, that means I've got cancer. So it could be for many reasons that you could come in for information, you could come in for a chat, you could come in and talk to people that and their families and their carers. So I think really, you know, the attitude we've got to change. One of the things, the problem that we have is that although it's a good thing that we've got extended families and extended network, but I do feel that if somebody is diagnosed through an illness, we should let them people rest and support that person. And support does not mean that you all have to barge into their houses and go there 24/7. Give them some peace. You know, now and then find out how they are, and you don't have to, you know, support them externally rather than trying to be a burden on them. Because if somebody's not well, certainly that person doesn't want hundreds and hundreds of people around them, and that's also something that we've got to change ourselves, and only we can do that. Think, you know, when somebody's in hospital, when they're suffering through an illness, they need that space. You know, they need that. And cancer, again, which is a bigger, you know, it sounds sort of, it sounds scary in all honesty, but again, you know, something on them basis, you need, give them space, give them the time, support them in many other ways rather than just sort of, you know, being there in front of them.
I certainly remember one of my very, very close friends was diagnosed with cancer, and they were going through chemotherapy. And he was told that he has to go home and stay away from people, just in case, you know, because your immune system is broken down, and you are susceptible to, you know, infections. And he used to ring me. I used to ring him and say, "How are you?" And he used to say, "Aa jao dekhne, you know, aa jao milne ke liye. You know, I'm bored at home on my own." And I used to say, "I'm sorry, my friend. I love you dearly. I don't want to come anywhere near you, just in case I'm carrying some sort of, you know, infection and give it to you." Allah ki marzi thi, he didn't survive more than 6 months, but, you know, I never went to see him for 6 months until the last few days of his life, because I thought I wanted to stay away and give him the chance to recover. But I understand what you're saying. But coming back to imams, do you think our imams understand or are aware of, and I'm sure some will be, but, you know, that they have to play a role in this somehow, to provide this counseling support to the individual as well as the families, to give them some reassurances. You know, that is what the Christian faith community and the other faith communities do.
Yeah, I think it's very important that they do, but not all the imams are aware. There are lots of them that are aware of what the issues are and the illnesses and everything, but there are a lot others that aren't. So I think it's about giving the masjids, the committees, giving them that support to so that they're giving them the equipment that they need, giving them that support so that they can help people. And sometimes it's not just it could be anybody that from the committees that could be good enough to actually counsel people and talk to people on the religious basis. Because I think it's important, somebody that's connected to faith, it's important that they get that support within faith, because that's where they feel better, sort of morally feel better. You know, so that support, the moral support, is very important for them to get through on faith basis. If you know, because there are a lot of people who turn to faith because of the internal satisfaction. So that needs, you know, they need that support.
Well, I mean, Allah माफ करे मुझे, मैं भी एक गुनहगार आदमी हूँ, but they say कि जब दुख पड़ता है तब अल्लाह को ज़्यादा याद करते हैं. When, you know, something happens to you, that, you know, people turn to Allah all the time. When everything is going well, they may be not as close to Allah, you know, as they should be. But, you know, if that is the case, then they need more sort of imams and, you know, faith leaders to come in, providing them with the support. So anybody who's out there who's an imam, who can speak English as well as, you know, Urdu, Punjabi, you know, Gujarati, whatever it is,
we would welcome them.
Please, you know, offer your services. And can they be provided with, you know, counselling support training as well?
Training we do, yeah. Well, we don't, not at the centre, but Macmillan Cancer Support, they provide cancer awareness training. Right. So maybe they can, you know, and it's free of charge, so that maybe they can
and you have links with the Macmillan and other. I mean, in terms of hospice support services, I mean, I've been trying to bring somebody here who works with hospices, and, you know, if you're talking about taboo, that was certainly a taboo for a very, very long time, and still is seen as a, you know, some negative in our community. So I'm trying to bring somebody who's going to go and talk about the role of the hospices in supporting people at the end of lifetime. And I know some people who've had absolutely a fabulous time, you know, being cared for at that very crucial moment when, you know, they are definitely on the way to the next the life hereafter, and the families, and they say to me that if it wasn't for these hospices, we'd find it very, very difficult to cope with what was happening. But I mean, in terms of your relationship with hospices, obviously you know, some of the people that you work with, you know, if they're at the end of life, how closely do you work with these hospices?
We do work alongside the hospices, right. Mary Curie, which are based on Leeds Road, and also Sue Ryder in Mannerlands in
right.
Keighley. So we do work closely.
And do you feel that one of the accusations was that hospices were not sort of Muslim friendly, in the sense that they were not aware of our faith needs at that time of death, you know, our culture in terms of, you know, how people are looked after within the community? Do you feel that
I think that is changing now. Yeah, we did have someone from Mary Curie that came in, and right. They says they have changed all that, so they are kind of catering for all the religions now.
Right.
So they also have like a worship area, prayer room, so they are trying to.
I mean, I hat off to them, and as you said at one stage, you know, our community is mainly focused, when it comes to giving charity, mainly focused to the Asian subcontinent, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. But now we are living here, and, you know, and now more and more people are, you know, are dying here as well. We need to start focusing around what can we do to support our own communities, our own charities, and people like, you know, Shahida and others, and Rafiq Sego Saab, who, you know, provide this vital support to individuals as well as families, because without the contribution from individuals, you know, in our communities, this important service would not exist, you know. And in terms of, you know, fundraising, obviously I mean, you go to, you said you've had some events.
We've had a very successful event.
Right. So what sort of events do you have?
Well, we've got a lot of events that lined up. I mean, we've got like sort of community dinners, fundraising events, where this one was, like I say, with Pakistan Society, the fantastic event and good awareness. There were 600 plus people, right. and we, you know, for us really it's awareness and fundraising both. Right. I mean, what we don't want is we don't want to say that we're just here to collect money. What we're saying is these are the services we provide. Right. This is what we can do for you. Our doors are open for you. We're there to support you free of charge. But obviously, to give you these services, we do, because of the fact that we don't get everything funded.
Do you feel that we have, you know, in our community, we have this mental attitude, government should pay for it? You know,
I think that's always been the case, and that is because NHS here, we've been sort of spoiled. We've laid back. We think everything is done by the government. But Baijan, let me tell you that the things are getting harder day by day. There's a lot of things you'd have to contribute to in later on in life. Let me show you, you know, what's going on, and viewers, alhamdulillah, are very sort of sensible to understand the climate of the world that we're in, the climate of this country, the financial problems that we have. You know, it's not going to be easy. And people like these charitable organizations are there to help, and I'm not saying what we should be concentrating is a concentration, at least if we're concentrating at least 20% of our funds. Say for instance, if we are giving to other third world countries, by all means their needs are greater. But I do request for people to think about sort of sparing maybe 20% out of the and 80% abroad, and 20% at least to the local charities. And I request the same to our registered charities. Alhamdulillah, they do a fantastic job. But again, and we understand why they are concentrating on other countries and third world, because of the fact that their needs are much greater. But you know, our request is that we need to concentrate here, because this is where our future lies. This is where our children grow up. This is where our grandchildren will be. So therefore, it's important that we play our role. And sometimes as volunteers, Baijan, you know, if you've got a few hours on your hand, if you can drive a car and come and volunteers for us and take these patients home, and it's the biggest sort of blessing for us to help the human cause, because humanity comes before. Our religion is very, very important to us, our faith, and to all communities with that faith is important. But I think against, you know, helping the human race is very crucial for us, and inshallah,
I totally agree with that, and I hope that viewers listening here from and watching this program, those who live within the Bradford and surrounding areas, if you have some spare time, if you have a car that you can make it available, that can help people, in these very difficult times that they're facing themselves in their lives, very challenging times for them and their families, then please, I would urge you, as Rafiq Sehgal Sahab said, to volunteer. Even if you give 2 hours a week, maybe 10 people give 2 hours a week, that's 20 hours. That's a lot of support for people out there who may not have the support. There might be many people who have the support, don't need it, but regardless of whether they're Muslim, non-Muslim, and I think if you're a Muslim and you support a non-Muslim person, provide some care for a non-Muslim person, that I think is a real akhlaq of a Muslim person. It shows as a Muslim we care for all communities, as Rafiq Sahab says. So this is an opportunity for you to really sawab kamane ka mauka hai. So if you can do it, if you can't do that, you may want to contribute in other ways by volunteering to provide support network, join the support groups there, and providing any type of support that you can. I mean, in terms of going forward, you said you've got some some events organized. These are obviously fundraising events, but are they all dinners and things like that, or do you? Yeah,
people could have people have coffee mornings.
Yeah.
They get friends together, have a coffee morning. They can set themselves a challenge. Like one of my friends set themselves challenge of 3 national peaks, and they did that within 23 hours.
Wow.
That's from one end to the other. And they did that. So set yourself some challenges. Any school runs, do events at school, playgrounds, community centers, the mosques, schools. I'm working with, alhamdulillah, I'm started working with around over a dozen schools already, and I've got a few more lined up which I will be working with. And what we're doing is trying to get the message across to the parents.
And how are the madrasas? Have you started working with the madrasas themselves?
The madrasas, I mean, there are numbers that alhamdulillah have agreed.
Right.
So again, I'm working with the madrasas and with the masjids who are willing to give us the Friday sort of collection day, so we could go and collect on Fridays. Inshallah, that'll all happen. But all we're requesting people to do is to be sort of play your role, whatever role it may be, like you say, even whatever role. And I think again, one other thing I'd like to mention. Although we don't know the causes of cancer, but we do know one thing, and I can tell you that it's our lifestyle. It's the way, it's what we eat, and our food and our lifestyle, unhealthy food style sort of is very crucial for us to change that concept within our own families and our children, to be honest. And
I mean, that's a whole new program that we need to talk about. Whether our Asian food is contributing towards it or not, and how much of that. I mean, we'd need a lot of empirical evidence to support a discussion around that. But I agree with you. I think we do need to step up. We need to look at more what we can do individually as well as collectively. Shahida, I mean, in terms of your work, which is crucial, right? Absolutely crucial. You're at the front end of it. I mean, do you see a difference between how males and females react to this illness and how they respond to it as well?
Yes, definitely. Because always, I think it's just a thing that male have to be more,
macho.
Macho, and not have feelings and don't show their emotions. But like I said, with our clinics, we have had more males coming through, and which have also broken down in front of us as well.
Right.
Because we're human at the end of the day. They're all human, and they do, so.
And do you find that male sort of clients prefer a male sort of support worker, or and female clients want female support workers?
Not really.
Does
I've
it not
not
make a
had
difference?
that. No, I've not really had that.
All right.
As long as they get the support, I think that's what's really crucial for them.
And do you have enough support workers at the moment?
There's myself. I work full time, and then I've got one that works part time. So yes, my colleague.
And volunteers?
She works part time. Volunteers, yes, exactly. We have volunteers, meet and greet volunteers. Right. So making teas and coffees for them. So we have lots of volunteers.
So make them feel welcome.
Yeah.
So give them a
so
good
as soon
environment.
as they come, through the door, just meeting and greeting them, asking them if they would like a drink.
Right.
It's very important to make them feel welcome.
I mean, that's fine. Brothers and sisters and friends of IQRA TV, I hope that tonight's program has been inspirational in the sense that you can come forward and give a bit of your time. If you've got the money, even that is more important as well. So services like this, you know, your Cancer Support Yorkshire, can do some of the fantastic work that they're doing. You know, because without them, I'm sure there'll be many, many individuals and families who'll be suffering through a very difficult and challenging time. So I would urge every one of you, if you could contribute financially, by all means get in touch with them. And I'll give you their phone number. It's 01274 776688, or you can go online and see, you know, csyorkshire.org.uk. I'll repeat that, 01274 776688. That's their phone line. And online, if you want to go online, it's csyorkshire.org.uk. I hope you found the program interesting. Inshallah, I'll see you next week. My guests, thank you very much, Rafiq Saab Shahida, for coming here and raising this issue. May Allah keep you well. May Allah keep you safe. Make du'as for me and everyone else. And inshallah, I'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.